so mad at the internet.
Welcome back to the comments section where we talk everything Second Amendment related. Obviously, body armor, since we are body armor manufacturers, but we like to talk about anything in the 2A space, especially Elliot. He's the genius one in this operation, so he answers most of those questions. But before we get to the comments from you, the viewers out there who watch this show, and obviously ask us a lot of questions, either through our website or social media. Before we get to that, I do want to bring up something that it should be near and dear to all of our hearts, and that's SCOTUS taking up the assault weapons ban pretty soon.
Yeah. So we got cert granted on that, I think yesterday or the day before. Obviously, we all saw the citizenship thing happen, but this also happened the same day. This is one we've been waiting for a long time. The question itself that was presented is interesting. So they took two cases and combined it into one. And the question I believe that is being asked is whether the Second and 14th Amendments guarantee the right to possess AR-15 platform and similar semi-automatic rifles. So that leaves open a whole host of other questions. One of the questions that was asked of the court before they granted cert pointed out the obvious nature of the ban, which is that AR-15s and similar semi-automatic rifles are in common use for lawful purposes, which is an older thing from Caetano and a few other decisions as well. And they actually stripped that from the question. So we're speculating here, and I'm obviously not an attorney, but it could be that the court is looking to position an opinion specifically about common use testing, which is definitely an interesting one, because if it is the case that we get a strong opinion in favor of the common use test barring gun control, that essentially freezes gun control in place where it is right now and puts gun controllers on the defensive instead of on the offensive, because they're basically not going to be able to do AR-15 bans, Glock bans, things of these natures. Anything that's already in common use, like at a base level that's just provable in court, demonstrable by sort of any means, that's going to be basically impossible for them to ban. And then they're going to just be working backwards to defend all of the laws they have on the books as, hey, is this offensive to something that's in common use? Like a Glock ban's a really good example of that. How are you going to ban what is almost certainly the most common handgun in use in the entire United States, like a Glock 19? Like, how are you going to ban that? That's
Right, yeah.
on its face unconstitutional, right? I think they don't discuss in this specifically things like magazines or other accessories. And I know we talked about that previously coming out of the Himani decision. They had briefly put a line in there about the implements idea, which are things surrounding the core firearm itself that may be core to its functionality or have some sort of other effect to it that either assists the things in functioning. And states have routinely argued that, these are not protected by the Second Amendment because it's not the firearm itself.
Right.
But obviously, like, you practically, any reasonable person understands you need a magazine to function in a semi-automatic firearm because you're not going to manually load one round at a time. So that creates a whole host of problems when, the court refuses to address things like that. So we will see what we get with this. If they're going to take that common use test with the AR-15 and then also let that apply to things like implements, and they may put that in the opinion, we don't know, that's really going to turn gun control around. And I think if you look at Brady and Everytown, these gun control groups, I think they know what's coming, and they've lost so much steam. They really don't have any supporters anymore. They turn all their comments off on Twitter because they know they're going to get blasted and just taken to school. So they don't even want to have the argument anymore. They just kind of go, well, I don't like this. And then they turn off the comments, and that's all they do. They're just totally disengaging from this. Gun control has lost the plot. And I think this decision, it's not going to be a final nail in the coffin, but it's going to be a big one.
Well, it'd be good to have the progressives on that side on their haunches a little bit, pushing them back, because they keep taking inches and inches and inches, and then they expect a mile. But cutting that off will be a big deal. And it looks like they're going to be taking arguments starting in early 2027. I believe you told me maybe a decision on this by, this time next year or later. And so it's still a while away, but the progression towards what we want is a very good thing. That's for sure. Since this is the July 4th weekend and it's the 250th, right? 250th birthday of this country. And I don't know, you've kind of gotten me on this kick about being tired of everyone crapping on America. It's been happening especially in the last 5 years, in the last year, even, just awful. Everything America's bad. You have all these people coming over here for the World Cup talking about, I would never imagine how great this country is because everything I read, everything I see, it's terrible, right? And so, we brought in so many immigrants, and the American citizen, I feel, has been lost in all of this because it's all this fight around the fringes, and it's so tiring and it's so overwhelming. You just got to get away from it a little bit. And so I wanted to highlight something that's great about this country. There's a lot of things that are great about this country, but in our space, there's so many people along the way since this country was founded that have made this country great over the years, and is really a symbol. And these people are really a symbol of, what has made this country, what built this country, and what made it great, especially in the beginning of the Revolutionary War and all the inventions and all of the equipment that had to be made to fight these wars, and gain our freedoms. I think it's important to look back and celebrate those things, because without it, where would we be, right? And you can chime in on any of this, Elliot, but I got on a little bit of a kick this past few days looking some guys up. And it's funny. I was looking up, just some of the biggest inventors, I guess, American inventors since the founding of the country. And one person in particular started, I shouldn't say started, but was one of the first inventors that helped liberate this country, or separate this country from the Brits back in 1776. His name was David Bushnell. During the Revolutionary War, in fact, he created the first submarine to be used in combat. Now, I got to bring this up on the screen, Elliot, because this is, I've always heard that inventors and people who run their own companies are a little crazy, but this guy David Bushnell invented the Turtle, which was the world's first submarine, and had a documented use in combat. Like, look at this thing. Can you imagine, going in the ocean or going in like Chesapeake Bay or whatever in this thing? Just crazy work. They show some images on here. You can't really see these too well, but how he's just kind of sitting in there chilling. And then, there's just a couple snorkels up here. And you got the propellers and whatnot, but I just can't imagine what kind of crazy you have to be to do some of this. And it says down here on Wikipedia that American inventor David Bushnell had the idea of a submersible vessel for use in lifting the British naval blockade during the American War for Independence. It didn't work too well, as he tried to affix, some mines, I guess, to sink some of the British ships out there. It didn't work too well, but it was the first submarine used in battle, and that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's something that is definitely something that I would never have the balls to do, go under in a little practical time capsule or whatever, and do those types of things.
That thing looks like something you'd buy out of the back of a Boy's Life magazine. Anybody who's in the Boy Scouts, I'm sure, remembers the back of that magazine had all sorts of like levitation devices and weird things like that. It's exactly the kind of thing that would be back there. You have to have, maybe a little bit of a screw loose, or maybe just have that, if you ever had a really good idea that sort of infects your brain and it just kind of plants itself there and it grows and it grows and it grows. And there is no putting that thing to rest until you satisfy the urge to like see it through and see it to completion. It's probably one of those things. Somebody's like, we understand buoyancy at this point. Like, why couldn't we build a submarine? Why couldn't you? Right?
why not? And who wouldn't want to be involved in going down there? Um, they say it takes balls to be a business owner these days, own a small business. Well, imagine inventing something like that and having the balls to go underwater with that back into the 1700s. Although I imagine they thought that was incredible technology back then, because it was, right? But you got to start somewhere. Another inventor that was obviously a big deal, Samuel Colt, someone a majority of us know. He invented the revolver in 1836. Obviously, played a big role in wars throughout time, and even still. I thought it was interesting that Samuel Colt connected with another inventor, Eli Whitney, and Eli Whitney actually put his revolvers into commercial production. So Eli Whitney was the inventor of the cotton gin, right, and all of that. So the geniuses of the 1800s got together and really helped mass produce the revolver from Samuel Colt. And then, moving along into the 1900s, in the early 1900s, who can forget the Wright brothers inventing a plane? Now, in terms of having a few screws loose, obviously these guys are geniuses. But going up in the air, they invented, obviously, the powered flight, not the airplane, but the powered flight. And so I don't know, like when you really look at this, Elliot, I know we've all seen kind of those black and white videos, that kind of have the yakety sax playing in the background and they're, moving full speed. Maybe you can overlay that on this video. But I mean, it just seems crazy that people would do these things. I want to remove that. Excuse me. Let me delete this. I'm really bad at this. Forgive me.
That's the unique thing about America, is the land of the free allows the audacious the freedom to go about and invent.
Absolutely.
You could not do this in old world Europe that is so focused on aristocracy and what family you come from and what you're allowed to do based on your lineage and or caste systems in Asia and that sort of thing. The reason why America gets to lay claim to so many of these different things is liberty. That's what it is. It's a place where it's no one's gonna stop you. As long as you don't hurt somebody else in the process, you're pretty much allowed to do whatever you want. And that's the only reason that we are who we are. It doesn't have anything to do with, an aristocracy or somebody going, oh, you have to get licenses or permits. All that stuff is detrimental to human liberty. And the only reason that we get ahead economically, culturally, technologically, all that stuff, it is American liberty that drives all that stuff, that allows those people that maybe have a screw loose or an infectious idea or just, plain have the audacity to be like, let's hurl ourselves through the air and see what happens. That's only possible in America.
Yeah. And it's what it takes for a country to be great. And, it's still happening to this day. I know we've got a lot of friends in this industry, and there are thousands of companies, especially in our industry, that innovate, invent, make a lot of great products that we all use. I want to bring up a couple companies, a couple friends of ours that do great work. And one of them is Ex Umbris Designs. And, they do a lot of nylon, chest rigs, pouches, plate carriers, a lot of different accessories. They do some great work, and they were created by it's Green Beret. And so there's so many of these companies with so many great inventions and innovations that I think it's important for us to really get into that. I didn't even show it. Let me show it this time. So this is Ex Umbris here. Obviously, you can see the chest rigs, pouches, belts, plate carriers. And I think, Elliot, do you have a plate carrier there?
I do.
They've recently made?
In Independence Day sale right now. So that was just yesterday. I grabbed a couple of pouches. I'm going to have 15% off or something. So
nice.
Nice American made quality stuff. That's where it's at. But yes, I do have one of these here in Ranger Green. I really like this carrier for a lot of different reasons, but one of the best things is the cummerbund. Now, we've seen, these load-bearing rigid cummerbunds before, but one of the things that this carrier does differently is it actually has an attachment directly to the carrier on both the front and the back, and it's not just a Velcro panel. Now, excuse the noise here.
Let's hear it all. We love hearing that Velcro.
What's that?
We love hearing the Velcro. That's how the stronger the Velcro sound, the more high quality it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of it here, so give me just a second here. Okay. Now, I look at this. It's a little dark, but this back panel here, this isn't just a Velcro connection here. It actually plugs into the carrier itself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so a lot of the issues that we see with these more load-bearing cummerbunds is that, yes, they are, supportive on these sides, but when you start really loading that down with weights like side plates, magazines, all that stuff, you're going to get torsion on the ends of that, and it becomes less supportive. So this actually sits inside the plate bag. Now, you do have a rounded edge, so if you need to maneuver that, you can, but you're not going to get the same weight torsion on it because it's not just peeling off the bag. It's not twisting itself into a whole bunch of different places. It's actually transferring some of that weight onto the plate bag itself. So you get this sort of 360-degree sort of bubble, I guess you would call it, of really load-bearing weight management in this carrier. It's really nice. Among other things on here, there's all sorts of other things like wire management that's built in. That's great. But yeah, this is one of my go-tos right here. I really, really like this carrier.
Yeah, I mean, all their gear is high quality, and if you want to support, a company that uses American-made materials and obviously is made in America, that's one of them. Another company that I kind of want to highlight is Lima 6. These guys can turn your AR into a belt fed, which is really cool, and they do it. It makes it much more affordable, is what I should say, than actually owning an entire belt fed system. If you check out their website here, you can see right here that they make the upper so you can attach to your AR, and they make it so you can attach to your AR lower. And I think you got one of these here, Elliot.
I do.
On your set that you could probably show off better than me trying to show off the website here to show some of the features. But it's a great, another company made in America making great parts here, and I will eventually get this right on the screens, but look at that bad boy.
Yeah, so if you've ever been trained on machine guns in the military, you'll notice some of the internals on this thing look pretty familiar because it does use 249 saw parts. And why wouldn't you, right? So
of course.
The cool thing about this is not just that you get a belt fed, but it's done so affordably. And because it's on an AR lower, of course, you can put in an FRT. And you have all the other, sort of aftermarket things that the AR-15 market has that now apply to a civilian belt fed. So I effectively have a, squad super semi-automatic weapon here, which I just love. I'm completely in love with this thing. It is now my favorite gun that I own. And I've got some cool stuff, but man, this thing is the best.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just incredible, the ingenuity, the innovation that's out there in this country. And you can find this all over the place. It's awesome that it's in our industry as well. So definitely go check out the guys at Lima 6. And definitely, no matter who you're buying from during this time, this holiday season where there's a lot of sales going on, support the people that help make this country great. And you do it with owning your own business, continually innovating. And Ex Umbris and Lima 6, these guys do it well. So definitely go check them out. Now, this is called the comments section, so we should probably get to a few comments and questions that we've gotten over the past few weeks. And this first one I have for us, Elliot, is a guy wrote into our customer service inbox and said, I'm interested in your level 4 plates and would like to know if your soft armor backers and trauma pads help against back face deformation. And if so, what are the pros and cons with each of those?
Sure. Yeah, so they both do. The pro that's sort of probably most obvious is the 3A backers do have some ballistic rating of their own. So
Yep.
in the case that you want to use those standalone in some other manner, you can do that. Our Crypsis carrier is a good example of that, where you can put those 3A backers in there, and they're standalone 3A. So you can have basically a concealable 3A vest, or take those and put the backers behind level 4 plates. Our level 4 plates, and we do have people ask this from time to time, we don't have any in conjunction with level 4 plates. There are some vendors out there that are selling in conjunction with level 4 plates.
Yep.
You do need those 3A backers with those. Ours do not. So you don't have to have them by any means, but it does provide a bit of wearer comfort, because the edges obviously are a lot softer against the body than a hard plate, and you do get a little bit more ballistic protection. How much that is going to vary based on what you shoot that plate with, but yeah, it does provide a substantial amount of protection. And trauma pads, another version of this, are really great too, because they are extremely inexpensive. I think a pair of them's like $70. It's less than, I think, one 3A pad. So that will also provide a lot of comfort, a lot of backface deformation protection, but because they're not ballistically rated and it doesn't take a whole bunch of crazy material to make them, they are a lot less expensive. So there's two different ways to sort of get to the same thing. There's pros and cons to each. I think the trauma pads are significantly lighter than the 3A panels, so it's just kind of up to you. If you want to save some money, get the trauma pads. If you want the added ballistic protection, get those 3A pads. And obviously, again, you can use those 3As with, a Crypsis carrier or something, or a backpack insert. There's different things you can do with that. So it's up to
Yeah.
you.
And it's, again, like you mentioned, it's just important to remember that all of our plates are standalone. So you don't need anything behind a level 4 plate of ours. So they aren't necessary, but if you do want that added peace of mind, to protect against maybe some blunt force trauma, then go ahead and get them by all means. The next question we have today is this: are all ceramic armor plates the same? I think, I don't know if it's getting at the ceramic or the ceramic armor combination, but I guess the answer is no. Not all ceramic armor plates are the same.
No, there's a world of difference from plate to plate. You will find similarly priced and rated plates are often made of virtually the same sort of material makeup. So um, you'll find at the lowest price tier, it's pretty much alumina oxide and a TB type of backer. If you go up the price tier a little bit, it'll be alumina oxide and ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. Then it'll be silicon carbide and ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. And finally, it'll be boron carbide and ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. And then there's all sorts of like little one-off things where there's different combos of like titanium diboride or silicon carbide, boron carbide mixtures or whatever. But basically you have your three: alumina, silicon, and boron. And then there's different levels. So you can have a level 3 plate, and this used to be the case, a plain level 3 plate made with alumina that may somehow not be enough to stop MA55, but I guess that's pretty much called a 3+ plate now. You will have things like we made the XRT, which is like a 3+++, if you wanted to go like that.
Yeah.
It was like this far below level 4. There's level 4 plates, and then if you really wanted to, you could build like a 4++ plate, but of course the problem is then it would just appear to be unnecessarily thick and heavy for a level 4 plate, so people generally don't do that. Our Gen 2 plates are a good example of the differences even within the sort of existing categories that you can find. So we took our Gen 1 plates, and when we moved them into Gen 2, they are almost exactly the same, but the key critical difference is the content purity of the alumina oxide. So
Correct.
older alumina oxide used to be 95 to 98% purity, depending on who you buy from, what particular formulation you want. These are 99.7%. Now, the reason you don't see this particularly widespread is because up until just recently, it was basically economically impossible to manufacture these 99.7 tiles because they had an extremely high failure rate. But some sort of magic was figured out, and now they can be manufactured economically. So we came out with these Gen 2 plates, and we're getting pretty close to the weight performance ratio of silicon carbide. but we're getting it at the price of alumina oxide. So you see our Gen 2 plates come out and they're extremely affordable and extremely lightweight. And we're basically, crushing the category down from, these $1,000 plates that are 5 pounds to a $300 plate. That's with 5.3 pounds. Yeah. It's
Right
beyond
around.
compare at this point. So that was one of the reasons I think that we really want to talk about, things like Lima 6. They're taking this American innovation approach the same way that we are, and taking, this high-end technology stuff and innovation, and not just making a better product, but making it affordable, right? For the average American. We're all getting hit by high energy prices and inflation, all the rest of it. If you can make a better product and make it at a better price, you should be doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the only other comment I guess I'd make on ceramic armor is there's going to be different thicknesses, right? And that's going to be up to the manufacturer. Obviously, thickness can help, with ballistics and breaking the round apart. But obviously, the thicker the ceramic, the heavier the plate is going to be, obviously. And so there's a lot of factors out there when it comes to ceramic armor, especially level 4 plates. And so, there are a lot of differences in ceramic armor. That's why you don't see every single company have the exact same plate out there. There's different variances. And so definitely a lot of aspects when it comes to ceramic armor. Now, the last question I want to get to today, we get asked this anytime a holiday is coming up. A couple weeks out, a week out, we start getting these questions. But, we got asked, are you guys doing some kind of July 4th sale this year? Yes, we are, and it's already going.
Yes. Right now, we basically took all our most popular plates that we have some pretty good inventory on right now. And we said, hey, you know what? Let's give people something to really celebrate right now, because it seems like the Europeans are the ones that are really celebrating America's 250 at the moment. One of the unique things about America is we have the Second Amendment. And obviously, as we know, according to, what was the Supreme Court decision? Whatever it was, body armor is protected by the Second Amendment. So said, let's make sure that Americans can get their hands on the highest quality body armor at the most affordable prices. So our 1155s, our 1165s, yes, our Gen 2 1165s are also on this sale. Our SRTs, our 0226s, and 0214s, all 5 of those models are 20% off right now. So if you need body armor, or if you want to upgrade from your older, heavier plates to get something lighter weight, now is the time to do it, because I think this is the lowest price we've had on some of these plates ever.
Yeah, all of them, I think. So with the code, you use the code Made in America at checkout, and the 1155 goes from $200 to $160. The 1165, sorry, doing the math in my head, goes from $300 down to $240. The SRT goes from $250 to $200. The 0226 goes from $130-ish. $129.99 to $103.99, if I'm right on top of my head. And the same goes for the soft armor version of that as well. So you're not going to find any better prices than that. Like Elliot mentioned, we've never had better pricing on our Gen 2 1155 or 1165 products. So if you're in the market for those things, want to keep yourself, your family protected, I don't know if we ever have plans of doing it any more affordable than that, but now's the time to get it if you want it, and you have a little leftover cash out there. This is about the best sale you're going to get. And again, a 5.3 pound plate, Elliot, for $240.
Come on, America.
Exactly. You're not going to see that anywhere else. The guys here at RMA, Elliot and I, we definitely hope everyone has a great holiday. Enjoy your family, your friends. Enjoy this country, as we kind of tried to highlight here on this episode of the comments section. If you have any questions or comments for us, please feel free to email us at customerservice@rmadefense.com, or leave a comment below this video or in any of our posts on X or Instagram or Facebook, and we will be sure to answer them on a future episode. Until then, have a good one.
Thanks, guys.